He realized she was incredibly nervous. The pink tip of her tongue peeked out to moisten her lips. She wore a pale blue blouse and khaki slacks. Her chestnut hair shimmered with good health and curved just beneath her chin. This beautiful woman was, to his mind, perfect. Moments later, a nurse sauntered into the room. She wore the skeptical expression of someone who dealt with others' emotional outbursts all the time and thought the world as a whole was full of overexcitable ninnies. Shooting a glance at the nervous woman, she turned her gaze on him. "He's awake," she said. "That's good." "Will you tell Dr. Alastair, or should I call him? Is he here today?" The woman's voice tightened at the nurse's lackluster response. "Not at the moment, but I'm sure he'll want to know. Dr. Chrisman's on duty today." The nurse leaned her rather formidable bosom his way. "How are you doing there? You've been away from us for a few days. The doctor will be in to see you shortly." She patted his hand, sent the woman a look that could have meant anything, then moved away. His wife walked toward the windows again. But was she really his wife? She seemed so reserved and removed. Maybe it was just wishful thinking on his part to believe that this woman could be his. But he knew her. They were involved in some kind of relationship, or she wouldn't be here in the first place. He just couldn't recall her name. He struggled, but the effort to remember grew more painful the harder he tried. Somewhere outside his vision, he heard a hum. A distant sound that filled his head and gradually grew louder and louder. His eyes closed despite his attempts to keep them open, and he thought about rocking gently on soft waves. The second time he awakened, he breathed deeply, then groaned as fire burst across his rib cage once again. He blinked rapidly several times. The room was half dark. The woman no longer waited at the window. Kelsey. There it was. So simple. But he'd been unable to think of it while she'd been here. "She is my wife." He realized his left arm was in a cast and weighted down. His face felt tight and hot, and when he squinched his muscles, new pain erupted. He didn't think he had the power to move his legs, but a heart-thundering surge of fear abated when he realized he could wiggle his toes. He wasn't paralyzed. At least it didn't seem so. However, whatever he'd done it big time. He remembered hazily that the doctor had come and examined him, but he'd been lost in a twilight netherworld that felt infinitely safer than this real one. Kelsey had hovered around. He could hear her voice, but her tone was curiously flat, and he had the sense that he was missing vital information. Now he felt sharper, and consequently the pain was more acute as well. Carefully, oh, so carefully, he turned his head on the pillow to look out the windows. City lights. Lights. Fitful smattering rain slapping the panes at irregular intervals. "I'm Jared Bryant." He opened his mouth and tried to say the same, but his lips were cracked and the message from brain to tongue and vocal cords seemed to get waylaid somewhere. He shivered. Would he be mute forever? He tried again, and this time a huffing "ugh" escaped from his throat. Better. Things appeared operational, even if they weren't exactly running at capacity. But the effort cost him dearly. He could feel the sinking exhaustion envelop him again, and this time he didn't welcome it. He needed to stay awake. He needed to be alert and ready. Ready for what? He wondered, realizing that the anxious feeling had come from somewhere in his subconscious. But it flitted briefly through the channels of his brain and was gone, and Jared sank into deep slumber once again. The third time he surfaced, it felt as if he were literally swimming from the depths of a dark well. He pulled and thrashed and strained until he broke the surface, and there she was, his wife.